While you are watching this video, surfing the internet, or playing an online game, there is a good chance that your computer is digitally connected to the data capital of the world, which hosts almost 3/4 of the world's internet traffic, and this internet capital is located in Ashburn, Virginia. This is hard to imagine as many people think that since online data is formless, it does not require hard physical storage. While it is true that peer-to-peer data exists that stores data on each client's device, the bulk of information that the average person enjoys, such as videos, articles, images, and so on, has to be stored somewhere. The internet needs data centers that can host massive amounts of digital space to service all the users in today's internet landscape. Even with that, how did a rural county in Northern Virginia outside of Washington D.C. come to host around 70% of the world's data? To understand how Ashburn became the ideal location to host a vast majority of the world's data storage today, we must first look back before the internet became accessible to the public in the 1980s. Before the ability to surf the World Wide Web, there were packet switching networks that were invented by ARPANET, the Department of Defense's TCP/IP network that connected universities across the continental United States when activated in 1969. However, it was centered around the Department of Defense, specifically the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. ARPANET was a project of the Advanced Research Projects Agency that was centered in Arlington. It would be here in Arlington, Virginia, that the first internet exchange point was created when a group of network providers decided to connect their networks in 1992. This network would be called the Metropolitan Area Ethernet, or MAE for short. MAE first started with 4 locations in the Washington D.C. area, the capital itself, Vienna, Reston, and Ashburn, Virginia. Later on, the entire East Coast would be connected when New York and Miami were added to the network as well. This connection made Northern Virginia a powerhouse of connectivity in the early days of the internet. In 1995, Netscape went public as a company that pioneered the concept of web browsing in the early days of the commercial internet. Later in the decade, Netscape would be acquired by America Online, which, just like the newly named MAE East, is based in Loudoun County, where the city of Ashburn is located. Along with Equinix, these internet connection companies would attract some of the rising internet-based companies at the time, such as AOL, Yahoo, and AT&T, to lay down roots in the Northern Virginia area. Since the foundation of the internet in the United States, and soon the world, was laid in Arlington, internet and internet infrastructure companies naturally conglomerated around the general area. Furthermore, the region is devoid of serious destructive weather events, an obvious benefit, and seismically stable as earthquakes can cause data corruption on spinning hard drives. Both these items themselves make the area highly attractive for companies to look at. From 2000 to today, Ashburn and subsequently Loudoun County would grow tremendously in the internet infrastructure world because of this, and thus attracting more attention from more companies in a self-fulfilling cycle. Nowadays, Ashburn hosts every major player in the tech industry such as Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, CyrusOne, Digital Reality Trust, and Equinix. According to Data Centers Frontier, Northern Virginia is host to 4 of the top 10 cloud computing campuses in the United States. Today, Loudoun County houses at least 26 million square feet of data centers, and about 1,000 American football fields worth of space. And the county is not stopping there. Right now, there's another 4 million square feet in development on the eastern side of the county. The Data Alley hosts everything from data suites to custom-built cloud facilities, many that you cannot find in the rest of the world. Today, 70% of the world's internet traffic flows through the Ashburn data centers daily. To quantify this, in 2019, there were 4 billion internet users, which is around 52% of the world's population. Though it's not feasible to figure out how much internet traffic goes on each second, Cisco estimated that there's 490 terabytes of internet traffic per second that flows through the data centers. Thanks to all the data centers in Ashburn, the energy consumption of Northern Virginia's Data Alley almost hit 1 gigawatt worth of energy in 2018. The almost shattering record of energy shines a bright light on how resource heavy the data capital of the world is, and why Ashburn and its county of Loudoun is a prime location to house the data center of the world. According to the Loudoun County Head of Business Development, the data centers require a vast variety of resources to stay in good shape, and these are power, water, a competent workforce, and space to build. Power, of course, is a key component for keeping the data centers running, and as the data capital continues to grow exponentially, more and more power will be required in the future. To put terms of power usage in perspective, roughly 3% of the energy used globally is for data centers alone. Thanks to the Dominion Virginia Power, which provides most of the energy consumed by the businesses in Northern Virginia, which use a combination of available and environmentally friendly sources, it makes the price of electricity 20% lower than the national average, which is a no-brainer for energy-hungry data centers. Because of the relatively low prices for power to keep the data centers running, it creates a bonus of inexpensive internet for people to use. Power is not the only sought-after resource to keep the data centers functional. Water is also another component that is used in large amounts to keep the data centers from overheating. According to Professor Venkatesh Udamari, the director of Water Resources Center at Texas Tech University, said that the typical data center uses about 3 to 5 million gallons of water per day, the same amount of water as a city of 30 to 50,000 people. Seeing how much water data centers use, it makes sense why the data center capital of the world is located near the historic Potomac River and has municipal access to water to cover its cooling needs. The warehouses that house the data centers require lots of land, and back in the 1980s, Ashburn had that and was ideally placed near the United States Capitol. The region back then was practically all rural, which meant inexpensive land, allowing for the data centers to expand rapidly to what it is today. In just the last decade, 75 data centers opened up in Loudoun County alone, encompassing more than 10 million square feet of operating space. Now, the land in Ashburn is selling for millions of dollars and more. Another integral part of why Ashburn is an ideal place for the data centers is its expert workforce. Because Ashburn is located near the United States capital of Washington, D.C., it has the luxury to draw from one of the best workforces in the world, from both government contractors to private tech experts in every specialization, giving the data centers in the Northern Virginia region a leg up on the world stage. Without the backing of the local governments, such as the Loudoun County officials and the Virginia state government, the Silicon Valley of the East would not be in the place it is today. Thanks to these governments recognizing the potential value of the data center in today's tech-driven economy, the data centers have been given special zoning ordinances to allow for the construction of new centers and fast-track programs, while also providing tax exemptions to those data centers that meet their criteria. The support of the local governments enabled the Data Valley to become an integral part of the world's internet today. The data center capital of the world became what it is today because of the right timing of the first connection of exchange points, the prime location in the vicinity of Washington, D.C., and the abundant resources from the expert workforce to cheap energy has enabled Ashburn, Virginia to become a pivotal conversion point of today's internet landscape. Now, because of its standing on the world stage, Ashburn has attracted data centers and connectivity providers from all over the country and abroad, and firmly cemented itself as one of, if not the premier hub in the Spoken Hub system that connects our internet-laden world today.